Welcome back, everyone, to DC Today. We are continuing our conversation with Bill Drummond, who wrote this fascinating book. So, Bill, we can't have conversations about police reform without talking about prison reform. And that brings us to your powerful book called Prison Truth. And like I said earlier, it's getting rave reviews. You know, take us behind bars and tell us what we don't know about San Quentin, and tell us about the prisoners that you worked with.
Be happy to. The thing about San Quentin Prison, it's got 4,000 inmates. Of those 4,000, 725 are residents of death row. It's the largest death row in the world. The others are what we call mainline prisoners. They are from all walks of life. Mostly they are older inmates, mostly older. It is what we call a level 2 prison, which is a very low level of security. It's also known as a go home prison. If you get to San Quentin, it means you have your best possible chance of being paroled, because San Quentin, even though it's got a notorious reputation, it actually has a reservoir of self-help programs, rehab programs, more than any other prison in California. There are more than 2,000 people, and I happen to be one of them, who are civilian volunteers there. We give up our time, we visit regularly, we conduct programs, and the programs run the gambit. Some of them are educational programs, a lot of them are religious programs, some of them are music programs. You can learn how to play the guitar, you can learn how to do the Hawaiian hula. There are yoga programs. There are an awful lot that try to get into the inmates' behavior, you know, anger management and things like that.
Okay, what you're describing is not something that I was expecting to hear. It almost sounds, do I dare say, like San Quentin is a model prison?
San Quentin, as I said, San Quentin has been in the movies more than any other prison in the world.
Even Alcatraz?
No, more than Alcatraz, more than the Bastille. There have been more movies done about San Quentin because it had that reputation. It used to be, you know, one years ago, somebody told me it was known as the Skid Row of the prison system. When you failed every place else, they'd send you to San Quentin. But beginning about 10 years ago, the state of California built a whole bunch of other prisons. Now we got 35 prisons. So they began to take all of the real hardcore people out of San Quentin and transfer in people that were serious about rehabilitation.
Absolutely. And so let's just also talk about COVID-19 and what's happening in San Quentin and other prisons.
Well, COVID-19 is a huge debacle. Up until about a month ago, there were no COVID cases in California north of Fresno. San Quentin had 0 cases, Folsom had 0 cases. And then somebody in Sacramento, or I don't know where, they decided that since they had a lot of cases down in Southern California, instead of trying to confine it there, they put about more than 100 inmates on a bus and drove them up to San Quentin. So these guys spent 10 hours on a bus, and none of them had been tested. So they turned them loose in San Quentin, and within about 2 weeks, 1,000 people at San Quentin had the virus.
1,000.
Yeah.
Over 4,000 inmates. 1,000.
Right, 1,000 inmates, and then also about another 100 staff members, guards and secretaries and everybody else, nurses. They also got it. So it's a big disaster in California.
All right. Well, Bill, I'll tell you what's not a disaster, and you are the right person to tell this story. I've learned so much today, and you know, it helps in my growth, in my desire to understand what's really happening within not only our prison systems, but when we talk about reform, what should it look like? So, and it's a message that is needed now more than ever. Prison Truth, everyone, go grab a copy. Bill Drummond, always a pleasure to see you.
Well, thank you very much. I really
Thank you
appreciate it.
for being with us. Everyone, stay with us. More of DC Today when we come back.